All right. Is it here now? This is why we check. Come on. Okay, cool. Now, so this episode is about how to become a content creator. Very on the nose considering the fact that like that's literally what all my posts have been about. And I just wanted to kind of go about my strategy at the moment and what I've been doing, what I plan on doing, which I've talked a little bit about this week, but since I kind of missed the last couple of days with live streaming, I had recorded on Thursday but posted it on Friday and then didn't live stream on Friday, didn't live stream yesterday. And so I was like, okay, let me go ahead and actually do some more stuff today. So going live here on Substack is an opportunity I felt was interesting because it's going to promote you on Substack Notes, although that hasn't necessarily helped me a whole lot. Why don't I actually copy this to Substack Notes while I think about it? Because I want you to come in here and ask questions. I want you to come in here and be like, hey, how do I do this as a content creator? And I think that that's really fun to actually have that ability to have all these intellectuals on this platform and then come in and, ask a prudent question. That way, not only do I get to make clips, but I get to help you guys out. And that's really kind of the goal, right? It's both helping you out and clips. In the future, I do plan on making these creator coaching calls probably part of the paid plan. And I think that that would be a lot more effective for me as a creator, but also it makes it more worthwhile for you. Like, okay, you actually are taking this seriously enough to where you join the paid membership. And so I know that you are dedicated enough to actually learn, because there is this kind of dichotomy when it comes to, digital courses and coaching, that if you give it away for free, 99% of people aren't going to complete the course, or 92 at least, or something like that. It's a very large percentage don't actually complete the course, but when they pay for it, it jumps up to like 70 or 80% of people complete the course. And so there is this dynamic where if you are paying for it, you're more likely to actually go through it, which is why like getting a personal trainer helps you progress in the gym. Now, I've been a personal trainer. I've been a swim instructor. I like coaching. I like teaching people. I've actually coached a number of people actually about digital marketing and knowledge management. So I've done this before, but I wanted to kind of create a community of sorts and have a multitude of people come in for the coaching call. And then if they wanted to do one-on-one, we could figure that out. I have the way of doing it on my main site. But really, the idea is, how do you become a content creator? Well, the last few episodes I've live streamed, let alone actually just the regular episodes that I've posted, they have been more along the lines of make your first 100 posts. And I just can't stress this enough. I want you to progress as quickly as possible. This is the same mindset I had as a fitness instructor, where I don't care if you are struggling. I don't care if you are having a bad day. As long as you get that 1% progress in that workout, then that's what matters, right? If you are not hitting a PR, if you're not doing as much as you think you should be, as long as I see you're making that 1% progress, I'm happy as your coach. And the reason being is that it's about consistency over time. It is not about trying to maximize one singular workout. You can have a really great workout, but every day is going to be different. Some days you're going to come in with more energy. Some days you're going to come in with less energy. Same thing goes for content creation. And so whenever I was writing my exercise book, for example, one thing I mentioned in the book is that you want to get to as many perfect reps as possible. If you're doing 100 reps over the course of a week, and within that week, you are doing 20 perfect reps, right? It's kind of like the ratio that it's more of a guesstimate, but it's an educated guesstimate. But essentially, it's more of an example, if anything. You do 100 reps, whether you do that in one workout, which is possible, I've done it many times, or you do it a course of a week, or let alone 2 weeks. Some people spread it out, like maybe do small sets, right? The reason why I always tell newer people to do more reps first, high reps, low weight, is because it gives you to practice the number of times doing it, right? 80% of your reps are going to be probably pretty crap, right? You're going to be swinging a little bit more. You're going to be bending your wrist a little bit more. You're going to be not going far enough down, something like that. But over the course of you doing it, you're going to be doing more and more perfect reps, and more biceps are going to get stronger. Your shoulders are going to get stronger. Your wrists are going to get stronger. And as you are doing it, you get more and more practice. The more reps you do, the more perfect reps you do. And you want to get to 100 perfect reps in order to really kind of feel like you can move on. And I think the same philosophy sort of goes towards with content. This is why in a previous live stream this past week, I actually told you should be doing 300 reps. And that was something I think is the first anyone has ever said, because a lot of people say, oh, do more, but they never said it in that way. And the reason being is that I think that before you can even start getting good at content creation, you need to have enough reps in, right? But no one has talked about what that number actually is. Roberto Blake and a lot of creators say you need to get to 100 reps because that's when you start getting good. But why, right? Why is 100 reps the number? That's because you get 20 reps of good content, right? You have 20 videos and those 100 videos that you made, 20 blog posts and the 100 blog posts you made. But if you do 300 reps, now you have 60 reps of perfect content. And maybe it's closer to 80 too. Like maybe you actually got a little bit better. Like once you get closer to 300, it starts to concentrate a little bit more. And so once you get to like that 60 to 80 range of really perfect reps, perfect content pieces, then you're going to have a lot more chances of progression because those videos or blog posts are going to get a lot more attention. The rest of the posts will get some eyes and they'll bring you don't want to delete them because those are still doorways to your content ecosystem, right? Don't delete your content. If there's something that's completely outdated and you know that for a fact it's not going to help anybody, sure, unlist it. But for the most part, like 99% of your content, you should not be deleting. It's all part of your content history and you need that history in order to really showcase that you know what you're doing. And so once you get to 300 reps, that's when you really actually start to make content that you know is pretty good. And after that, that's when the acceleration starts. But then you also have to learn how to do the other content pieces. Because I think in order to accelerate even farther, to be a modern content creator, you need to be reaching people at whatever platform they're on, which is why I always talk about the 3 content types, the written, audio, and video. And then you have the formats too. Like I'm starting to learn live streaming now. After 10 years, I'm finally starting to do live streaming. I should have done it a lot sooner. When I was in the fitness world, I should have started doing barbells a lot sooner. I was in my early 20s when I finally picked up a barbell, really, right? And because I was doing dumbbells and calisthenics and aquatic exercise for the first 5 years of my exercise realm. I touched the bar. I did bench press every once in a while, but it was on a rare occasion. I didn't put it part of my routine. Now I do dumbbell punches and dumbbell bench, because it's a little bit more effective for me at the gym that I'm at. Because there's only a Smith machine. There's not an actual real bench press, but I digress. The idea, though, is that you want to try to get to all 6 kind of types and formats as quickly as possible without burning out, without posting crap, and really doing it sustainably in the long run. And so that's the idea, right? You get the 300 reps, but you could start doing the other types after doing 100 reps, right? Because once you get to 100, you're starting to know, like, okay, I feel comfortable making videos. You may not be great at it yet, but you know how to do it, and you know how to do it well enough to where you can keep doing it while adding something else on. I wouldn't suggest doing all 3 content types all at once, but that's okay. Now, let me just see if anyone is commenting here. Nope, okay. So when you are creating content, you need to focus on what you could execute over the course of a long period of time and manage to get enough content pieces out. And the great thing is, you don't always have to just make things from scratch. As you get better and better, you learn how to repurpose. You learn how to syndicate. I used to tell people, you should take your TikToks and post them to Reels and Shorts. And you'd be surprised. It's just how foreign of a concept that was to people. They're like, no, they're different platforms. I'm like, no, they're really not. I've been on all 3 since they came out. They're all basically the same thing. The one difference is TikTok was first. Everything trickled down from TikTok to Instagram Reels and then eventually YouTube Shorts. It was like a big delay. Like trends on TikTok would happen 3 months later on Instagram and probably closer to 4 or 5 months on YouTube Shorts. Now that the platforms have evolved, that is no longer the case. I still think that the TikTok does happen first. But the time window is closer down to like a month, really. And so really the delay of trends is not really that much. You don't have to even necessarily worry about it anymore. Not to mention, people take YouTube Shorts a lot more seriously now. In fact, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, I think are probably at the top, whereas Instagram Reels is still down here, despite the fact I know a lot of people swear by Instagram Reels. For me, I'm actually having the worst experience on Reels, but that's because of the way I post my content. I post a lot of clips, and I want to post that way. And that's just how I would do it. I could decrease it maybe 3 times a day instead of 10 times a day, and that would probably do better, and maybe I will. But the point is, right now I'm creating so much content that I might as well keep doing a 10 posts a day, and people are just going to get used to it, or they're going to leave, and they've done both. So some people really like it, some people don't, and that's just how I am. And so as a content creator, I had to just accept it. Not everyone's going to like my style or consume my content in that way, and that's okay, but some people are going to love it, and those are the people who I'm making content for. And not to mention, too, on YouTube, I think it does pretty well. Pinterest, it does pretty well. TikTok is mediocre, but at this point, I don't really care about TikTok anymore. But my point is that I was telling people to be posting 5 to 10 times a day on TikTok. This is back in 2021, 2022, even 2023, and no one was doing it. And there was a few people, actually. Call Me Chris, for about a year was posting about like 5 times a day, and I saw her blow up because of it. And she was posting like real content, not just like repurposed clips too, like just made from scratch content. Granted, a lot of hers was just skits and stuff that she could just make up on her own, which was creative expenditure, but she had that creativity and she had that execution level, so it was good. And so she had the strategy, she had the execution, she just didn't have the automation, I don't think, at that point. Because eventually she did slow down, and she also got a lot of like, I don't know, just hate mail at some points too. But I think a lot more people love her than hate her, so that's good. But I saw her blow up from like 8,000 people to now like 8 million or 10 million. It's crazy. I think she might even be like, let's see, hold on. Call Me Chris. I want to see what her TikTok's at now. Because she's fantastic. I love her. Chris Collins. 50.7 million followers on TikTok. 50.7 million. Mind you, I started following her at less than 10,000 subscribers. That is crazy. So, as you can see, I was right. If you post 5 times a day, at that point in time, it was going to be helpful. Now, mind you, I was still only doing 2 or 3, 4 days a week, right? I was not doing daily. I wasn't doing enough daily. And that's because I just didn't have the ability to do it. I didn't have the automation tool to make clips, and I wasn't going to about to sit there and go through every video and make clips. That was a lack of execution on my part. I admit that, and I'm not saying that I was right about the strategy, but I was not doing what I was saying. And so I was wrong still in the long run. And that's okay. But my whole deal is I like watching the platforms. I like watching the trends. I like seeing what happens. This is what I do naturally, and I've always been on every platform since they came out. I was on Vine when it came out. I was on Snapchat when it came out, Instagram, Facebook, all of them basically within a year of them coming out. And I actually thought I kind of joined Facebook or Instagram late, but I think in the long run, pretty much everybody joined Facebook late because it started out in college age. And so it wasn't actually opened up to everybody until a few years later anyways, and that's around the time I joined. And so really every platform is been around for a while now. And it's just interesting to think about, if you want to become a content creator, you need to start watching, or at the very least, watch people like me and Gary Vee who tell you which platforms are which. I kept hearing Gary Vee talk about Musical.ly for about 8 months, I think, from like 2017 to 2018 or something along those lines. And it was a few months, at least 3 to 7 months is when I was like watching his content a lot around that time anyways. And he kept saying, go on Musical.ly, because yes, at the time especially, it was lip syncing and dancing and a little bit of comedy, but I saw the premise there. It was a video platform. And especially when I started seeing more and more of the comedy videos at the time, I was like, this is a video platform. This isn't just like, oh, dancing. It was pretty obvious to me because it was just like, hey, like they're making videos. They're not just making dancing videos. It's not about just dancing. Dancing's what got popular, right? And I actually started out my TikTok just doing lip syncing. I found my favorite songs on my Spotify, picked them out on TikTok, and just did lip syncing of them, and that was fine. So the first like 30 videos were just that. And did I grow it all? No, but I got practice using the new platform, and those videos are still there. So if you scroll 20 or 30 times, probably more than 40 times because I have a lot of videos, then, oh, hello, Vincent. If you have any comments or questions or concerns about content creation, feel free to let me know. And so on TikTok, though, it started out as that like Musical.ly, dancing, lip syncing kind of stuff. But over the course of the next couple of years, upwards of late 2018, early 2019, it became a lot more diverse in content. And then when it finally became TikTok too, we got exposed to a whole bunch of other cultures around the world, and so it became a global app. And so like I got a whole bunch of Bollywood stuff on my feed. I got a whole bunch of Chinese stuff on my feed. It was really cool over the course of that year, seeing all these different cultures meld together. And that people still thought, like in 2019 and 2020, is it too late to join? Like, is it too late to get on there? And as we know, in retrospect, 2020 was a great year to join because everyone was stuck at home, and so everyone started blowing up. I remember people who weren't even on TikTok before 2020, but then blew up to major proportions after 2021. And so it's really interesting to see, like, people thought it was too late to join TikTok back in 2020 or even 2022. And now in 2025, I feel like it is too late. I feel like there's not really much of a point. Yes, you'll still grow. Yes, there's still opportunity. But unless you have a very specific niche or a very unique plan, it's just not going to be worth it. It's just too saturated now. And I'm saying that knowing that some people are going to go ahead and do it. If you have the right idea and the right execution, you are going to be successful on TikTok. That's fine. But I would probably rather push you towards doing YouTube Short Live or even just YouTube Shorts in general, that kind of thing. And so really creating content on these new platforms, because like, you know, for example, Vine might be coming back here soon. And so it's interesting to think about maybe Vine will be a good platform to be on. I don't want to necessarily be on anything related to Twitter or X at this point, but maybe I'll syndicate my content to Vine just to make sure I actually reach the people on there. Vincent, do you have any thoughts? It doesn't tell me how many people are watching, so I don't even know if you're still in here or not. So, becoming a content creator is something that I think a lot of people really want to do nowadays. The word influencer is no longer much of a thing, but it's still kind of the same idea. Becoming an influencer, becoming a content creator. And over the course of the next few years, we're going to see a lot more people blow up because of it. I don't think there's particularly any avenues of underutilized attention besides maybe live streaming. Live streaming is still one of those things where not enough people are doing it, despite the fact it is a very, very big market. I think that the angle is hardly anybody's live streaming to Substack. Not a whole lot of people are still live streaming to Twitter. And you could also maybe do like a Twitter space at the same time as doing a video stream too. Same with Clubhouse. I would be really interested to see someone multi-streaming to TikTok, Trovo, Caffeine, Kick, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, all horizontal. Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts, all vertical. Clubhouse and Twitter Spaces, audio, all at the same time. That would be probably the most like wide ranging you could get in a multi-streaming simulcasting format. And I really don't know any way to do it besides just having like two different phones for the different audio platforms, or maybe just like one audio platform on here, like Clubhouse and Twitter Spaces on the computer, and then you use a multi-streaming tool on the computer to syndicate all the video. And really, I'm really hating this realization, but I've talked about all the multi-streaming tools right now, and I've been championing Meld. I'm using Meld Studio right now, but I'm a little annoyed with them because they told me that they were going to have a syndication service, and then I look at the tool, multi.meld.co. It's not really a syndication service. It's just a multi-streaming service. So it's helpful for people. Like, it might actually be helpful for me right now because I'm not syndicating my YouTubes. I am not syndicating my Xbox streams to Twitch. So before this, I live streamed on Twitch via my Xbox. If I were to put that RMTP code into multi-meld, then it would split it off for me. That might be a great way of doing that. I'm not 100% sure if that's exactly how it works. I think that is. So essentially it will spread it for you, but it's only through one RMTP, and I think you still might need to have it installed on your computer. And so that's a great, it's kind of like Streamlabs console, where you can send it through there and it'll syndicate it for you, but you still have to use it on your computer, I think, at the same time. So you still have to have the app open. But Streamlabs has a multi-streaming feature that does syndicate for you in the cloud, like Restream, but it can also handle vertical, which Restream cannot. And I've been mentioning this the last 2 weeks on my lives multiple times because this is something I'm actively thinking about and actively trying to explore, because there's not really any other tool besides Streamlabs that can do multi-streaming and the syndication. And so that's why I wanted to specify, because there's going to be people in the comments right now who will be like, oh, Stream Elements or Atom. No, they only do multi-streaming with your computer. If your computer can handle doing multiple different casts at the same time and your internet can handle the distribution of that, then it technically yes. But it does not actually do the syndication for you. It's only just doing the multi-streaming for you. There's a difference. Multi-streaming and syndication service are two different things. And so they're part of the same layers, but they're two different things. And that's one thing that I'm really frustrated by, that there's not another syndication service on the market, because Restream is way too expensive. The CEO is way too much of a temper tantrum person online, and it just doesn't do what you need it to do in the modern era. Maybe StreamYard, but after all the crap that company's went through, I don't really want to be giving them money either, because they're just basically, they got bought out twice and they're just not really doing well. And so really and they still don't do vertical. Ecamm, but that's a paid service and it's on Mac only. And so there's really no tool besides Streamlabs that can syndicate your content for you. Because basically you send out a vertical stream and a horizontal stream and that's it. That's pretty easy for your computer to handle. Maybe if it's 1080p, even like weaker computers can still probably handle it. And so it's just one of those things where that I think is the only way to be multi-streaming effectively in the modern day right now. And I can't wait for Meld to get better at doing the syndication service because they have a great multi-streaming feature built into it, like the OBS plugins, but that's it. This is not a multi-streaming video, but I think I need to start writing those posts that I alluded to last week. But how to be a content creator in a modern era. Pick a type, get 1 to 300 reps with it, move on to another type while you're doing the other one, and continue that process until you get all of them down. And I think the sooner you get to all 6, the written, audio, and video, short, long, and live, and you do all 6 effectively, I think that's the quicker you're going to be able to grow. Because you can start to layer them too. This video, this live stream becomes a video, becomes a podcast. I'll probably write a blog post underneath it, although I'm kind of debating nowadays whether or not I want to write a blog post underneath the live stream videos. I might only write a blog post underneath the actual recorded videos. But I could actually start skipping those recorded videos and just do this instead and then start writing blog posts underneath it. I don't know. Those are 2 different pathways. I'd rather have an email series that is pre-recorded, written out effectively, and send that out. But I've been doing these live streams at the same time too, so there's just that dynamic. But I could combine both of those strategies if I wanted to, or if you wanted to. And then you can start doing the micro content outside of that. So really, I don't think Vincent's still here, and I don't have anybody else in the chat right now, so I'm not going to stick around too much longer. But thank you for watching, and if you have any questions, comments, concerns, come tweet at me or Substack note me. Cheers.